In our episode today, we'll be talking about rewarding meritorious workers. A peculiar case we are presenting is that of a female cashier who was rewarded for bravery. Then we'll be looking at the issue of rewarding meritorious civil servants, workers of corporations. The question today is, are these workers given the merit they deserve? Barrister Etta Bissell, former president of the Cameroonian Bar Association, will have answers to this question. The stories of the years with values, which when properly examined, could serve as a basis to improve on several aspects of life in our society today. For example, the issue of rewarding meritorious workers in our society, an outstanding case of recognition of service rendered to the nation, was recorded in 1971 and published in the paper Cameroon Outlook. The newspaper carried this headline on the story: Ahidjo decorates woman for foiled 800,000 francs daylight robbery. This woman, Francis Kangu, worked at the time as cashier with the Inland Revenue in Victoria, today Limbe. After work, she went to deposit the revenue of the day at the bank. On her way, an armed robber pounced on her, battled to seize her handbag containing the money to no avail. Francis Kangu fought the battle of her life and finally stayed with the handbag. She went and deposited the money successfully at the bank. A report by her boss on this act of bravery earned her a decoration from the former head of state. Barrister Etta Bissell takes this case to compare the issue of meritocracy yesterday and today.
Well, my opinion would be a contrast between meritocracy and just laissez-faire. And now, decoration to me now does not mean anything. I'm sorry to say that, Mr. Njomo, but in those days, meritocracy, let me tell you, this lady could have succumbed to the pressure and the violence assault of her assailant and let it go and say, well, it's government money, and then make a report. Investigation should have gone on. Of course, there were neighbors, and that was a popular place, I know, in Victoria. Neighbors could have come out to testify that they heard her cry, they saw the wounds on her, they saw the doctors would have given a medical certificate to show that she was assaulted, and all of that would have made her say, well, let me save myself, let this thing go. But you see, meritocracy, dedication to work, honesty, made her fight for what was the public interest. It was not her personal fun, but she had to fight for the public interest. I don't know many people nowadays who would do a thing like that. They would want the easy way. No, she took the hard way. Fight, save government from losing so much money, even if it was 10 francs. Because let me tell you, in those days, if you were a public servant and you were in charge of funds and you could not account for 10 francs, it sent you to prison. But today, there are people who, if their bosses cover it, you can come back and say, well, I'll pay the money. I'll give an example. the West Cameroon audit team never informed any civil servant in charge of revenue when he was coming to audit you. They came when they wanted without informing you, and they just jumped into your office and informed you there that they were auditing you, and you put the books up. If your accounting books showed that you were supposed to have in your safe 100,000 and you had 100,000 10 francs, you were prosecuted. And there were cases like that in the then West Cameroon. You were prosecuted and you were sent to prison. You know, so people had developed with that knowledge. They knew that you had to defend what was of public interest. But today we serve our personal interests. We don't look at public interest. And I am not surprised. I wasn't surprised then that the lady you are talking about was decorated. But you know, let us look at it all in terms of today. She never applied to have a medal. It was a report honestly written by her boss that went through all the hierarchical scales. And let me tell you, the president was not a hierarchical boss, stricto sensu. But you know that these things were so well coordinated that the report went to the presidency. And the president, Ahidjo, had to decorate this lady. It was a show that people should have interest in public things, protect public interest, and ensure that even if it meant giving your life for the public interest, you did that. Today, that's not the case. Today, forgo public interest and say, well, it's government, without knowing that you are part of the government. I think that this is what it is. When we have to give people medals today, decorations today, because they have applied for them, we are not talking about meritocracy. We are talking about applying for a medal. If you merit a medal, it should be given you. You shouldn't apply for it and even be given when you don't merit it, because maybe there are insufficient applicants for that medal. I think that we should go back to meritocracy in this country and leave these things where you can think that I can apply, I have a godfather here and I can have it. And then you start making celebrations when the public looks at you differently. Meritocracy should be promoted.
Another area Barrister Etta is worried about meritocracy is the evaluation marks on confidential report sheets, or what is popularly known as the mark sheets of workers.
So I think that the marks which are given are very arbitrary these days. And secondly, you know, you can give a man 10/20, which is not a very good mark. And the guy goes to Yaoundé, for example, and the thing is done. And you know, Mr. Njomo, you must have heard that they are calling on people to bring their confidential reports of yesteryears. Now, in 2014, you are asking somebody for his promotion to bring his report, confidential report or his mark sheet for 14 years ago. Of course, his bosses are no more there, and he's going to fabricate it. He can come back, meet the people who are there at the time, and then make a completely new thing and give it to him to carry to Yaoundé. So these are all the shortcomings of the present system. Let me tell you, when I worked in the Prime Minister's office, my confidential report went to the head of the legal department of the Prime Minister's office at the time. It went to the chief clerk. The chief clerk had his own section to fill and give his marks. Then he went up to what now they might call the chief of service, and then went to the Secretary General of the Prime Minister's office, who was called the Permanent Secretary of the Prime Minister's office. And you know Mr. Togo, you know, he was a very strict man, you know. And each of these people, as the thing progressed from the chief clerk to the chief of service to the Permanent Secretary and then to the Prime Minister, you, the employee, the worker, you never saw that mark sheet again. You never saw it. You don't know who gave you what mark, and from there it went to the public service office where, you know, a report was kept. So, but today you carry a mark sheet from one stage to the other. You know who gives you what mark, and you can even start a fight with somebody who gives you a mark which is low.